Well, here we are again. Anyway, it doesn't seem like anybody ever leaves any comments. They don't give me a like. Well, there's been a few likes. Come on, people, give me a dislike. Show some kind of thought process in what I've been saying, you know? I mean, get angry at me. That'd be awesome. Please be kind to my feelings, though. um, and you probably haven't, subscribed. That'd be cool. I mean, uh, it'd be neat anyway. But at least come on, people, give me a thumbs down, do something, and ask a question. In the description is my email. Forget the rest. I don't care. Just email me, or, we have comments. Leave a comment. But if you would rather not, then that's your prerogative, because we're talking about opinions and feelings. Let's be safe here, people. This message is brought to you by My Right Don't End Here, where your feelings begin. Just a public safety message. And now we're on to more great and glorious. I don't know what the hell it is. Here we go. I had to throw this one in because it seems like it's totally true with a lot of people I talk to. It's not sometimes. Most of the times I keep my feelings to myself because it's hard to find somebody who understands. And then outside of my loved ones, who cares? Anyway, here we go. While I was putting this stuff together, I found this helpful piece while doing this written again by E.C. Walters. The information comes from his article, Seven Falls Theory. I hope he doesn't mind my using his material again. Anyway, this one I'll just read to the best of my ability. And wow, there you go. It's by E.C. Walters. There are lots of mentions of the word seven in The Thrill of the Chase, or TTOTC, not including hyphenated numbers such as of his 79 years. 79 is AU gold on the periodic table, and 57, he's been married. He tends to use seven or the uh, ordinal seventh with enough frequency that it is significant to be a pattern. There is a photo of him starting seventh grade where he was the grand marble champion. See, in the stone markers made out of marble. Hate and letter H. Champion was an actor in a private movie. His name was Frog. It was seventh grade Spanish when Fenn realized his name means bog wood, both morta, death, and albanos, fertile. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but fertile ground. He claims he had a primeval moment, an unripe windfall of critical Lord Byron's wrinkling, if you will. Google that. Anyway, this guy's way above my level, but that's all right. Fenn also found Cody 7 miles west of town. I covered that. Fenn graduated from pilot school in September equals 7, even though it's the 9th month, because there were 10 months prior to there being 12, similar to how there were 10 laborers before becoming 12 laborers. Fenn talks about 7 seconds needed to prepare to eject, and how Lieutenant Swisher was 7 miles away when telling Fenn he was on fire, and Fenn received a note from a father of 7-year-old girl. Fenn mentions 7 Up, but he calls out Grape It and specifically mentions the bottle, which came in 7 ounces. Grape It also has a bottle in the shape of an elephant. Wow. Mammoth again. There are 7 problems in the millennium and prize problem, of which the prize is 1 million for each winning solution. In his poem, there are 7 days in a week. Well, I don't see everything the way Mr. Walters does. As I've said before, he definitely confirms many of my thoughts. A mermaid of additional clues led me to believe that I had indeed found the blaze, yet I didn't quite quit making mistakes, but slowly I began to more accurately figure out the language of Forrest Fenn. Trust me, it did not come quickly. For example, it took me several trips and times and failures to figure out the next line, which reads, look quickly down, your quest to cease. I used the same logic on this line as I did for the blaze and came up with the number 33. This was a grave marker down the hill or below the blaze. It corresponds with the number 33 and 2. I felt that I was at the end. If you count the numbers of words below the blaze, it corresponds with corresponding numbers were 33 and 2. I felt that I was at the end. If you count the number of words below the blaze, anyway, if you count the numbers of words from end in the poem to the word cease, you get 33. The word value for cease is also 33, and that gives you 333. So I'm going to show you some of this stuff right now on the map, and we'll go from there. This is the picture of the grave marker in the cemetery, which is the blaze. It's not a very good one, but you can find all these grave markers on the web, and you can find who's buried in them, and it's really hard, but you can figure out the numbering system on like Find a Grave and so forth. So if you've watched any of my other videos on the patterns, I've given the patterns out, and let's brighten this up a little. So, I've given the patterns. So when you come in here and the grave marker that you get to, which has the numbers 32, and his age was 13, and he was in 7th grade, and then another number is 39, and that's this grave marker right there. That's the blaze. And then we were talking about, it goes, if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down, your quest to cease. And this is in a southern direction. It is downhill, and that gets you right here, because this is number 33 and 2. And there's other numbers that apply to these, but that's got us to this marker right here. So you're kind of seeing the pattern right now. This is also grave marker 33 down in the corner. It's quite the picture. Well, let's go on. Anyway, it was then that I started finding all the right numbers. Some of them were 2, 4, 5, 7, 10, 13, 15, 22, 30, 33, 36, 66, 79, 93, 99, etc. Figuring out the important numbers and where they fit was quite an ordeal. And yes, I did spend 25 days in that area. So Jack's got nothing on me because he's telling my story. Anyway, we'll go from there, huh? I read the poem countless times and as a result memorized it. Of course, everybody did. I also read the Thrill of the Chase approximately 17 times plus times. Yeah, I read it more than that. Anyway, at some point I figured out that the cemetery had to be a mirror. Of course, it could have been the bounty of material referring to mirrors and the number of pictures of mirrors in the books and scrapbooks, but most importantly, I found it in the poem. If you take out line 13 and count the words, you come up with 13 and then 66, and then on the other side of the line 13 and the poem you get 13 and 66, 79. The poem is a 3 stanza mirror that equals 6 stanzas. So I'll show you a little bit of that. Forrest Fenn said that he felt like an architect when he made this poem. That means architects use numbers. I mean, you know, they do drawings and sketches, but there's numbers, and especially when they get the engineer doing an architect, uh, there's numbers involved. So there's numbers in this poem. Anyway, there's other things like you got to look up all the words and find all the many meanings of the words, and then you have to find their root. And anyway, you just got to dissect every word. Anyway, so here's the mirror. If you take out Blaze, it's actually 79 words and 79 words. And that's a clue because Forrest started when he went to when he came in, it was 79. And then when he came out, it was 79. So anyway, it begins with him and it ends with him. So he's the beginning and he's the end. So anyway, but another thing is the blaze is the 13th line, and it's 32. But right here you can go this line, and it just happens that these two lines right here, right there, equals 13. And then it just happens that these two lines perfectly, they equal 13. Uh, so then you have the blaze and 66. And if you do look at the marker, it's 33 and 33, and that's 66. So if you mirror the cemetery, let's just go do that. So here we are again, and we mirror the cemetery, and it looks like this. This is the center of the cemetery. This is actually the gate, and it goes right through this 24 marker. It has a couple of numbers, and it goes right down the center here. Anyway, so there's the mirror of that. There is only a forest kind of over here, trees and so forth. So if we were to mirror this one, it comes up over here, and now this is 33, and this is 2. Those are the grave markers. There was 2 historians that named it. First, they named them according to the date that they were put into the graveyard. And then Aubrey Haynes came in, and he just numbered them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He just went across and all the way down, and that's how you get the second numbers. So, this was the second person buried in here. Plus, it was the 33rd from the top to here counting. So that's kind of how the numbering system works. And that is all contained with a brief history of each individual in here in Deaths in Yellowstone. They did miss some things, like, I'm in trouble for doing certain things because his map is not accurate. I mean, anyway. And another thing to know about this is this was a military graveyard. It was for Fort Yellowstone and the one that was before Fort Yellowstone. And each one of these spots, every one of them is filled by a person, and they were military people. And in 1916, I believe that's the date, they came in and they dug up all the military people that had been buried in here. There's still like 3 military people in this graveyard, but they dug them all up and moved them over uh, to Sitting Bull, or over to that grave cemetery, uh, which is a military one. And so they dug them all up and they transported their bodies back over there and they reburied them. So there's all these holes of where they used to be because they dug them out, and then it kind of fills in, and there's indentations of where the people used to be buried there. And so in 1916 they came into this graveyard and they decided they wanted to dig up all the soldiers here and move them to another cemetery. So a lot of there are a lot of adults. There's a lot of children in here, and this cemetery is reported to be haunted somewhat, I guess. There's a lot of crying kids in here for their parents, or I don't know. Anyway, just a rumor. So basically, some of the ways you get numbers too that Forrest employed, because Forrest says his mind always was around 13, and he was young. Anyway, that he kind of thinks like a 13-year-old, so maybe that's why I was able to figure these things out. But either way, anyway, so if you were to go 33 and 33, you can get 66 now applies to this marker, because when you mirrored it, you got 66. So 66 is on this side too. And then if you mirrored 2, you get 22. I mean, and these numbers are mirrors of themselves. So, you're seeing a mirror pattern there. And anyway, there's some others, but these are some of the important ones down here are 22, 66, 33, and 2. And I don't know, there's plenty more. I'll look. Anyway, and Forrest Fenn is actually the blaze here. We'll get into that. And that gives you I, and that has a word value of 9. You could use it here. It doesn't use it a lot. If that bothers you, don't use it. And then 2 plus 2 is 4. So 4 is another one. You could also use 35. I didn't use these numbers very well. And this is an N. So this is your first omega right here. And that's 79. Anyway, first omega. So you got your blaze down here, and then you're sitting here and you're like, I'm done because my quest has ceased. But the very next word in the poem is but. So that means, but wait a minute, you're not done.